until I get the video. Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. We are so excited to resume our programming with our first virtual Teen Science Cafe of 2023. I am so excited about resuming our programming and this cafe for various reasons. Wait, let me take a step back. For those of you who this may be your first time, my name is Nikisha Smith. I'm founder and executive director of Science, Engineering, Mathematics Link Incorporated, and I want to welcome you to our Math and Science Career Academy's virtual Teen Science Cafe. The Teen Science Cafe, the purpose of the Teen Science Cafe is to expose teens to various STEM career paths at a critical time in their K through 12 educational experience where they're making decisions about what they want to do when they grow up. If you're in middle school, you're making decisions about what classes to take to prepare yourself for high school. Maybe if you want to go to a special magnet high school, what out of school time programs you may want to participate, and what you want to just do in your spare time, like experiment at home, what after school clubs at your school. If you're in high school, you're thinking about what college you want to go to, what things you want to major in, how you want to spend your summers. Do you want to work at McDonald's, or do you want to find a summer science research program? And the reason why we have this, because it's very intimate and you get an opportunity to meet somebody that is doing the work, that shares a little bit about their journey, shares what they do every day, and most importantly, give you an opportunity to see a possible career path that you never really thought of could be possible, or you just really never saw somebody that looked like you, if you are a person of color. And so I am so excited about this tonight's cafe because me and the speaker go way back to early in our career. But also, this whole topic of cosmetic science. Nikisha, I know you can think about when we were growing up, the options were limited, right? Like you can count on one hand where you can wear the soap, get your soap.
Yes.
You can count on one hand the makeup brands. You can count on one hand the lotions. And now there are so many options and there's so many advanced from what's synthetic to what's plant-based. And this is a topic that impacts everyone. Even people only think about men, right? But beauty products impact everyone from your lotion to your skincare. I'm going to let Nikisha talk about all of that, but I am going to introduce her. She's going to talk a little bit about her journey, and I hope that those that are interested in beauty and cosmetic science and can learn. Once of all, STEM is everywhere. It impacts our everyday lives, right? But with this is so important, from how we wash our face to the makeup that we use to even the processes, right? Because you see those little labels like cruelty free and this wasn't tested on animals. And so this is a great topic that I am so excited about and have our speaker. So I'm going to introduce her. I'm going to read her bio. And then we're going to get her presentation up and let her start. And feel free if you have any questions in the chat. We may wait to the end to get to them, but go ahead and chat. In the meantime, put in the chat where you're from, what made you tune into this cafe, all of those things. So Nikisha Horn is a professional cosmetic chemist with over 20 years of experience in the personal care industry. She is the founder and president of Beauty and Science, LLC, and beauty stands for bringing the education, advocacy, and understanding of cosmetic science to young girls, an innovative hands-on program that uses, excuse me, cosmetic science to inspire girls to pursue careers in STEAM fields. Nikisha earned her BS in chemistry cum laude from Tennessee State. Excuse me, why am I struggling to read? Tennessee. See, I'm not back in practice. I'm still on
but
the
you're from
break.
FAMU now, so don't be.
I am not hating. I was really watching y'all coach Eddie George this morning, appreciating what he said about HBCU athletics.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, because these former football coaches are having some shenanigans. Like, we won't name no names, but but from Tennessee State University and an MBA
Mm-hmm.
from Lake Forest Graduate School of Management.
Mm-hmm.
Nikisha was group leader for L'Oreal USA, where she led their hair care and hairstyling development for many domestic and global brands. Nikisha is an inventor on several patents and has lectured to other scientists and cosmetologists in Paris, France, and Johannesburg, South Africa on hair care. See, cosmetic is big. I mean, she's
Mm-hmm.
global, right?
Yes.
So currently, Nikisha serves as Director of Product Developments for Solo Laboratories Incorporated, a cosmetic manufacturer in the Chicagoland area. So I'm going to turn it over to Nikisha, and while you're just giving a little background, I'm going to bring up your presentation.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Takiwa, for the wonderful invitation. And thank you all for joining into this webcast. This area I say is very, very dear to my heart. As Takiwa was stating, I have been in the industry well over 20 years now. And as Takiwa stated before, yes, cosmetic science is something that I never even thought I would be growing up, or even in your situation right now. You're as a teenager. So I would say I always have had an affection for science. I grew up around a multitude of scientists. My mother being a science teacher, I was always that person in the science fairs, always winning those awards, and I knew science was pretty much going to be in my blood. So when I was in college, I did pursue a degree in engineering that I later on changed to chemistry. I wasn't exactly sure what type of chemist I was going to be, but I definitely knew I was interested in chemistry. So right after college, I kind of fell in to a career in cosmetic science. That was because one of the companies I was working for had a laboratory really close, pretty close to my home, and so I actually drove up there because it was going to be a new Loreal facility where they would do research on hair and skin and work on developing products. Now, I've always loved beauty. I'm that type of person that really was like sort of like the fashionista. However, I did suffer, and I still do, suffer from a skin care disease, the psoriasis. And so that prohibited me from wearing a lot of different types of cosmetics. So I used to always have to go back and research the type of ingredients and things of that nature, but not really fully understanding how chemistry kind of related to that. So once I got the role at the company that I was with L'Oreal, that really took me along a path of really understanding the science behind developing many ingredients. And it brought back all of those memories from even college, all of those classes I took in organic chemistry and biochemistry, as well as biology courses. And even previous to that, when I was in high school, I was at an agricultural based high school. And at the time, they talked a lot about environmental science, food science, and sustainability. I always say everything comes full circle because back then it was the late 90s. You really didn't hear many careers with environmental sustainability as you hear now. So I'm getting all, everything is literally coming full circle. And I'm able to enjoy a wonderful career and share my wonderful career with you all. And hope to inspire people to develop careers in STEM. Another reason why I really like cosmetics and personal care, because it really does resonate with everyone. Every single day you use some type of personal care product. And because it is such an affection to many people, now you understand or are able to relate to some area in science and be able to kind of see how that impacts your everyday life. So it is nothing like going around my day and then just seeing a product that I worked on and developed on the shelf, or seeing someone write a positive review on the internet, or hearing someone saying that's something I developed helped change the course of someone's life. So it's just really a wonderful, awesome thing. Yeah, I think you're on mute. So sorry for the technical difficulties. Sorry, I think we lost Tequila. So let me go ahead and start my presentation here. Yes, so hopefully everyone is able to see my presentation. So essentially, why cosmetic chemistry? So believe it or not, the wonderful world of cosmetic chemistry is actually based on science. And this is something that I've stated previously. So with my company, Solar Laboratories, I am the director for product development. And in my role, I am responsible for creating personal care products for our customers. And on my team, I do house a team of formulation chemists. So, cosmetic companies such
Okay.
as my company, we employ teams of specialized chemists to help develop and test lines of products. It could be all types of products that you've used. Things dealing with hair care, skin care, some of my favorite. Then we actually research those raw materials that go inside a formulation. So what that entails, it entails research of several ingredients, could be up to the thousands of ingredients for the type of products that we want to create. And that basically encompasses so many subjects. So it is so important that you understand chemistry, biology, mathematics, and physics. Reason being, chemistry. When you create a product, you want to make sure you fully understand the interactions between each ingredient and how that can impact how your product basically looks, smells, and feels. So all of that is all about the chemical interaction. Biology is really important because biology is all about the end substrate or whatever you plan to apply the product on. So it's really important we take lots of classes that deal with hair physiology, as well as the biology of hair, the biology of skin. So we want to make sure we create and we look for ingredients that are going to be really compatible to hair as well as compatible to skin. Sometimes what you use on your hair, depending on the type of hair you have and the structure of your hair, you may not always be as compatible with your skin. Mathematics is so important because we develop what's called formulations. And with those formulations are a variety of numbers with a variety of weights, variety of different conversions. We may go from grams to kilos to gallons. So we want to make sure we are astute with all of the mathematics behind that. Also with being able to determine ratios. So we deal with ratios when we do what's called batch adjustments, learning the pH, how to go up, be more acidic, more basic, which I'll talk about a little bit later on in the presentation. Then we also understand the physics behind products. Physics is really important when it comes to actually product scale. Where we work with chemical engineers, we get it all in the mechanics and the energy that is needed to create our products. Physics is also important as well as mathematics when we work with our formulations as far as the packaging. Not all packaging materials are going to be compatible with whatever it is that we want to create. So all of those things kind of intertwine with those STEM classes. So believe you me, those geometry classes, those physics classes, and some of those botany and biology classes would definitely come well in handy when you're developing cosmetic chemistry.
Okay, so Nikki, I could not get your presentation up, but we can see it from your screen. So I just wanted to let you know that.
Okay, good,
So
good.
so where you're on like why cosmetic chemistry, is that
Mm-hmm.
the slide you wanted to be on?
Yes, yes, it is. That's what I was really on.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, great. So just learning that our technical difficulties are done. I was just like, why I
Yeah,
can't show it?
what's done?
I'll say our technical difficulties are over. I'm
Yeah.
gonna okay.
Yay, good to hear. Good to hear.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
I don't know. Are you able to click? I don't know if you're able to click the link. I'm not going to click the link because I don't want to chance jumping out of the presentation.
No, so actually I think your slides have been moving. So
Mm-hmm.
you can just go ahead and like click because they can see your presentation. I'm seeing it in the comments and then
Mm-hmm.
I can see it.
Okay. So let me
So
just go through the entire presentation, and then towards the end, I think I do have a link that I'll just play one link just to try it to see because I don't want to
okay.
accidentally get kicked out. Okay. So
Okay.
as I was speaking about all of the science, we taking a look at different segments. So we want to talk a little bit about the science of hand soaps. Hand soap. So basically, soap. Soap is basically a construct of different surfactants. Surfactants mean surface active agents, which mean they basically dissolve. They help dissolve oil. And so here I found a really nice drawing of what it is for like a surfactant micelle. So you have the water loving part and then you have the oil loving part. So the head loves the water, and then the tail loves the dirt and oil. So this is what's called hydrophilic, which is water loving, and lipophilic, which is grease loving. That's one of the key ingredients that we use in order to help remove dirt or residual along the body. It could be either skin or it could be hair. So the one key thing about soaps undergo a special process called saponification. So those in high school may eventually start learning about that in chemistry. So that is a term, and it's a chemical reaction when you take a fat or a fatty acid and react it with a base to create a soap. So here's a basic the chemical reaction. So triglyceride is a very common fatty acid that is used quite often in hand soaps. So then you react it with the type of alkali. Alkali most often is used, it could be sodium hydroxide or potassium hydroxide. So if you take the triglyceride, the fat portion plus the base portion, you will receive the soap component. Then you also create water and a little bit of glycerin. Glycerin is going to come from this the glyceride portion. That's what yields actually the glycerin. Glycerin is actually a moisture. We call it humectant, which means that it helps to bind moisture and it gives you a little moisturization in a soap. So it's nothing worse than having a soap that leaves you totally completely dry. So it depends on the type of fat molecule that you use. Triglyceride does consist of the glycerin, and then that can help you with the cleansing and also give you moisturization. Similar science that is used in surfactants are some of your commonly used ingredients, which are shampoos and body washes. So these undergo pretty much the same process with using surfactants, where the water and the oil is working together, and the surfactant is working to basically combine the water and the oil. However, it does not undergo the saponification. So some very common surfactants you may see on the back of your shampoos or your body washes would be something called maybe sodium lauryl sulfate. And I want to challenge you all too to pick up some of your body washes and your shampoos, see if you can figure out what each ingredient is. So sodium lauryl or Loreal sulfate. For those who like sulfate free, you may see an ingredient called sodium lauryl sulfosuccinate, or you may see something called sarcosinate. The reason why the big wave for sulfate free, some sulfate free surfactants tend to be much more milder. Surfactants, because it is an active agent, a surface agent, it basically is helping to dissolve the dirt. So sometimes if you have a surfactant that's a little bit more harsh, typically means it dissolves a lot more dirt and a lot more grease. Another great example of surfactant uses would be your dishwashers. So dishwashers typically tend to be more of those stronger, we call anionic surfactants, meaning that they help bind and help dissolve the grease so much better than it's using like regular water. However, those particular types of surfactants are often not used in personal care products because they tend to be a little bit more harsh. So as a chemist, my job is to be able to look at surfactants, also connect them with thickening agents to help get my viscosity, and also help combine them with ingredients to help increase the moisturization so that way I'm effectively cleansing my hair. Another nice category is the science of hair lotion. Hair lotion, hair creams, body creams, they have a key ingredient called an emulsifier. So an emulsifier is actually a special type of surfactant that connects water and oil so they can mix and form a nice cream. The reason why emulsifiers are key, because typically hand lotions consists of an element of water and oil together, so that way you get the effectiveness. So how many people have ever used Vaseline to try to moisturize your hands? What happens? Sometimes feel a little too greasy. Or how about if you just want to wash your hands and just use water to kind of wet your hands real quick? You'll have a little nice zap of humectancy out moisturization, but after a few minutes, you'll notice your hands look kind of white or they feel really dry. So what's really an important ingredient and an important function in an oil, in a lotion and a cream is you have the nice balance of moisturization and you have the nice balance of emulsion. That comes together from that wonderful ingredient that's called an emulsifier. Skin moisturizers are applied directly to your skin, and you basically use friction to rub them until it absorbs completely within the skin. And then it also leaves a film. So we call it a film, we call that occlusive. So that way it's not allowing the water within your own skin to be able to completely evaporate. So special types of moisturizers would be called occlusive. That means it's oil loving and it sits on top of your skin. One of the most popular occlusive is that wonderful Vaseline petroleum, meaning that it's basically just used to be like a nice barrier to trap to make sure water does not escape from your skin. For people who have like really rough skin, if you can use it, think about like an overnight foot treatment using a petroleum base, then cover your feet with socks. That would basically the oil is sitting on top of your skin, which allows the moisturization to stay within the skin. Another type of moisturizer is called an emollient, which also means it's oil loving and it absorbs the skin. Many of the natural ingredients, such as jojoba oil, olive oil, sunflower oil, are all oil loving and they help absorb the skin, whereas the heavier types sit mostly on top of the skin. Another type of moisturizer is called a humectant, which means it's water loving and it really absorbs into the skin. Popular humectants would be glycerin. You may also see an ingredient called butylene glycol. Another very popular ingredient now is coming around is called propane diol, which is a naturally derived humectant that comes from corn. And also apple extract would be another example of a water-loving humectant. So they all work together and in synergy to be able to create the science behind a hand lotion. The next popular category in science, I would say, would be hair gels. How many people really like to style their hair? So when you style your hair, we always worry about how nice the curls look. Will I have the frizzes in my hair? Will my hair be able to hold my style for the whole day? So that's one of the popular things that we use in gels. So the ability to create a style. Gels are made of a special ingredient called polymers. So a polymer is a type of chemical with a very long chain. So think of a ball of yarn. It's a long chain that stretches out when it connects with water. And we use this to make liquids thick, or they can also make them thin. They can also hold what we call film formers to help to be able with the styling of your hair. So we use polymers to style curls and spikes, or it can also be used to make your hair nice and soft. So the gel is applied to long strands of polymers and are wrapped around the hair strands. When the gel dries, that's what leaves the polymer on top of the hair. And so they can connect together, pull them tightly to form the desired style. Polymers is a very unique material in that it can do several things. It can help form film formers. It can also they use it also in other products such as diapers. Polymers are used to also help absorb different types of water too. So the majority type of polymers, three different classes. A cationic polymer is a positive charge. It's used in many conditioning styling products. So for those who are used to like your styling lotions, your styling foams, those typically consist of cationic polymers. So you apply it to your hair, and also used to soften your hair and detangle your hair while you're giving while you're trying to get the effective style. Anionic polymers are used you see them in a lot of skincare products. You can also see them in hair care products, and it is helped to give you the texture. A very popular type of anionic polymer, if you look on the back of a hair gel, as I have in this picture here, you may see this ingredient called a carbomer. So a carbomer, again, is think of this ball of yarn. So when we make it in the laboratory, we have a pot of water that we sprinkle in this powder called carbomer. Carbomer, because it's anionic, is also very acidic. So in order to make the viscosity thick, we have to neutralize it with a type of base. So when you add an acid and a base, you actually are creating the rheology, and that's how we end up with a nice texture. Another type of polymer is called a non-ionic polymer. So non-ionic polymers are no charge, and they are used in several styling products, and they help form medium and strong films. Some popular non-ionic polymers you may see is called PBP, and you may see that in some of your styling gels, several styling gels. You also may see polymers, anionic and non-ionic polymers in your hand sanitizers. So with hand sanitizer, we want to make sure we have the good control so that way we're able to dispense the alcohol, which helps sanitize your hands, but the delivery is from the different types of polymers. Alrighty, so what if we wanted to make our very own hand lotion? Some of the ingredients that we would use in some hand lotions would be water, mineral oil, cetyl alcohol, glycerol stearate, polysorbate 60, sorbitan stearate, phenoxyethanol, and carbomer. So we use all of that to make different types of lotions. Guess which ingredients would be which? Which would be the oil loving ingredients? Which would be the water loving ingredients? Which ingredients do you think would be the emulsifiers? Take a guess. Many of these ingredients that I have bold, the glycerol stearate, polysorbate 60, and sorbitan stearate, those are all the emulsifiers that will work to bind the water and the oil together and to give you the texture. What if we wanted to make a soap? So a soap-based ingredient contains sodium palmate. Sodium palmate, again, is sort of like that fatty triglyceride I was talking about previously. Then it reacts with an ingredient such as sodium hydroxide, and that is what will actually form the structure and the soap. Then you would also use other ingredients such as glycerin, propylene glycol to make sure that they give you the exact humectancy that you will be desiring for your hair, for your hair or skincare needs. Challenge. So I want to challenge everyone to learn about and listen to all of the different types of science and STEM categories that I spoke about earlier. So try finding your favorite cosmetic product and to see if you can guess the function in each ingredient. Also, explore STEM do-it-yourself cosmetic kits and learn all about the cosmetics at your home. I want to go back a little bit and take a look at one of the videos. I want to show you a video all about the science of hand lotion.
We can't hear the video, but we can see it playing.
Girl, are you kidding me? I just have to did this whole presentation and just going.
Okay. Sorry about that technical difficulty. Nikisha will be right back, and we're going to go into a Q&A. She is going to put the link to the YouTube video in the chat when she comes back so you can watch it. But I have learned so much about cosmetics and beauty from her. And as soon as she is back, we're going to have a Q&A. I know I saw some questions in the chat. So put any questions that you have for Nikisha in the chat. And then we're going to go through the chat and answer questions that I see. I think I see one or two questions. But yes, you were supposed to hear the video. There was a little issue with the sound, but we're going to put it back, um, put it in the chat so you can review it and learn a little more. Okay. All right. Thank you, Nikisha. I feel like, our technology is on vacation still.
Oh
Like we
wow.
not ready to start for
I'm just going
2023.
and
I
having
could
a good
use
old
another
time.
week.
Oh
I
wow.
can use another week.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so there is I'm going to answer some questions in the
Hmm.
chat. I
Sure.
see a couple and then you can just put it in. So, the video. So
Yeah, I'm going to
someone
send all the video links right now.
Okay.
Hmm.
So someone asked, what products have you assisted in bringing to the shelves?
Oh, well, okay, well, I can say so many. I used to work for a company called Loreal, and so many of the products under Dark and Lovely, Optimum, and Mazzani, a couple of Matrix that I was really responsible for. Now that I am in contract manufacturing, I cannot disclose, unfortunately, those actual brands because those
Okay.
are I do have what's called an NDA. But many of the hair products, the skincare product that you may see, I would be probably one of those that I'm sure I've touched it at some point in my career.
Okay. Another question. I'm sorry. Hold on. Okay. I'm sorry. I was trying to put one of your things in the chat and it started playing. And I'm like, I just need to copy and paste. Okay. So somebody asked, they saw that sucrose is needed when making soap. What is sucrose and what does it do for soap?
It's not necessarily needed, but sucrose is a humectant. So when you basically take sugar and you add water to it, it actually helps add some humectancy to some soap. And
Okay.
that sometimes, in some certain soaps, depending on the amount of sucrose, it could actually be an exfoliant in it. So I don't know if you're familiar with like some body scrubs, if the anyone's familiar with like
Oh,
body
like how you do
scrubs.
the sugar scrubs. Because I used
Exactly.
to do that
Yes.
at the
Yes. It
place
so
where
depends on the amount of that you have in there,
okay, yeah, because I used to do sugar scrubs with my
though.
one of these
Mm-hmm.
pedicures. They went out of business, but it'd be sugar scrubs and
Sugar
mimosas.
scrub. They also have a lot of salt scrubs too. They're the same.
Mhm.
They're really nice exfoliants.
Yeah. Okay. Someone asked, and you can send this to us, and then I'll make sure that
Mm-hmm.
Carlin can send it to everybody that registered. What are websites or apps that you can recommend for teens that are want to learn more about cosmetic chemistry?
Apps, I'm not as familiar with apps, but some of my favorite websites, I go to YouTube a lot, and then I just search basic cosmetic chemistry. Some of and I'm really a hands-on type of girl. So if you go to Amazon and just type in "do-it-yourself lotion," "do-it-yourself body wash," you get all of these wonderful kits, and that's actually where I saw a lot of my images. And really nice kits that give you some bring the products. You can buy the products, and then you can just mix some of the things at home yourself.
Okay.
Mhm.
Someone asked, when you make your own soaps, where do you find the necessary ingredients?
Where do I find the ingredients?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So when I do that, I'll do things online. They have some really nice, fun websites. So I like this website called Making Cosmetics, MAKINGCOSMETICS.com. Another one of my favorite would be Lotion Crafter. So it's not geared towards teaching it per se, but they are really geared towards providing those people who really like to play at home and do things yourself at home.
Okay. Um, so someone wanted to ask, they're a science, she's a science teacher, and she wants to ask, what is your take on the link of hair relaxers and cancer?
What is my take on hair relaxers and cancer? I
Yeah,
do.
that link the sensei talking about. Yeah.
Oh yeah, with the website that's going around.
Hmm.
I will say there's a lot more research to be studied as far as the link of actual cancer. I tend to struggle with making an absolute statement without all of the full data to back it. I did
Hmm.
read that website in the lawsuit and the reporting that came from NIH, and it did state it was that information is not conclusive. That they basically that they drew their hypothesis from like a little small subset, and that small subset happened to have some of the people studied who did hair relaxers. So that's why I think that that area really needs a little bit more further study. I do don't believe in some of the ingredients that are really linked in hair relaxers, ingredients such as parabens. As I was talking about earlier in the presentation, there are things on preservatives. Paraben is a popular preservative that's used quite a bit in the personal care industry. It's also used in the food care industry. If you study relaxers are what's called high alkalinity, meaning it's a very high pH. So you don't have preservatives in the relaxers. Also, bisphenol red is a plasticizer that's quite often used in some personal care products in the not the product itself, but the actual packaging. The same again, if you Google bisphenol A, you may see that in some of your food care. So I do not believe that's an automatic link to hair relaxer.
Okay. Um, and I guess now that you're saying that study, how are there, because there's research done on cosmetics chemistry.
Yes.
Where do people find that accurate research? Because, like you said, it may be a problem,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to have a certain amount of data sets, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So when you want to find like tested research that has enough data points, where can people look to find that?
Okay, so a lot of the actual tested, well, that talks about research and more so opinionated. I don't think customers get as much access to actual test data, but one of the main bodies we do is finding research is with the FDA. So if you go to the FDA.gov, there's a section that talks about cosmetics and cosmetic science and how cosmetics is done within the United States. We also have a governing body called the Personal Care Products Council, which is led by many scientific researchers, toxicologists, chemists such as myself who have more advanced degrees, and they also talk about the safety and efficaciousness of many of the cosmetics that are used in the personal care industry.
Right. And one question about that safety. Are there
Yes.
any things that we should look for in products to know that it is quote unquote safe or has been tested or has gone through all the requirements of the regulatory agencies?
Yes. So anything that you would look, well, I would say in the United States, each manufacturer is basically responsible for ensuring the efficaciousness and the safety of a product. So in the United States, it is not required to actually stamped that says it's been checked or it's been tested. So what many consumers do is pretty much do research on their own ingredients and to see how compatible that ingredient is. Because there are many ingredients, of course, we'll give you a great example, coconut oil is safe, but many people have allergies to coconut oil. So it's basically the disclosing of the ingredients and then consumers researching and finding what would be efficacious for themselves. And then I also educate people to look at different brands. And then those brands who seem to have a little bit more notoriety, of course, do a lot more of the extensive study. I don't. That's why another reason why I don't believe in a lot of products that don't have preservatives or maybe kind of like homemade, put in your shelf because again, those may not undergo the specific testing. So we do testing for microbiology, microbial contamination. We do testing such as stability, which gives me an idea of the indication of how well the shelf life is. Also, testing we call skin patch testing to make sure that there are no adverse interactions of skin patch
Mhm.
tests. So those different types of things, but it's pretty much up to the manufacturer.
So isn't that one of the things, and this is a brand that I use, and there's one
Hmm.
more question that
Yes.
is in the chat. So I use Honey Pot, and there was
Hmm.
this whole like hoopla, which I was like, y'all tripping, because she had to change the formulation, right?
Hmm.
And there were a couple of cosmetic chemists that defended her before she was able to speak, because I guess she had to get her emotions together before she speak,
Right.
which I don't blame her, because they was
Yeah.
like coming for her. And I'm like, y'all tripping. Y'all don't know what's in Summer Eve, right? But y'all use that. So that's my rant. But she had to make a formulation change
Hmm.
based on the fact that her product was more popular and it had to increase the shelf life, right?
Yes. Yes.
But she was still using natural products. But I think that
Hmm.
was the issue. So is that some
Yeah.
of the things that you talk about, like as
That was some of the
companies
things. So
grow?
yeah, so when you deal with a lot of natural ingredients, and it really does depend on the type of. Now, when I say naturally derived is typically a bit more shelf stable because you have to do other processes to make sure it's going to be able to withstand the same quality on the shelf. So when you're doing your at-home regimens, a lot of times they don't scale the same when you're ready to go for a commercial or ready to sell to like a retailer. And so
Mm.
that you have to do a little bit more to your formulation to make it more shelf stable. And what I mean by that, you could be adding a lot of variety of emulsifiers, could be a
Mm.
variety of preservatives. So preservatives is really the key for that. If you do a lot of natural products and you don't have the right preservation, you don't have the right antioxidants, if you don't have the right ingredients to help for to help withdraw any types of rancidity, then you will end up having issues with a very short shelf life on your formula. And then you could
Yeah.
also have adverse interactions. So just because something is natural, it may not necessarily mean that it's going to be compatible with somebody's hair or skin.
Yeah. And I
Hmm.
think that's what, like, that was a change she had to make going in Target.
Yep.
So
Yep.
someone asks, do you recommend any cosmetic products? So I don't know, you may not want to like recommend
Yeah.
anything. So if
Anything
you
I
don't
may.
want to
Anything
recommend anything in
I.
particular, can you
Yeah.
say like things that we should look for then if you
Yeah.
don't want to like do a particular product?
Yeah, so I was joking and said anything I make will be the best, you know. But
Uh,
I would say it really does depend. It's kind of like a case by case. You would probably have to talk to the person. So if it's more of like a skin, if there are any skin issues, you most certainly want to seek the counsel of your dermatologist. If there's something dealing with your hair, I will certainly say seek the counsel of like of a cosmetologist. But what I tend to do, I tend to look for ingredients that may have combinations of certain things. So like one of my favorites is jojoba olive oil. For me, because of the psoriatic condition I have, I tend to like more the essential oils, such as peppermint and a little bit of tea tree, because that actually helps combat some of the scalp discomfort that I end up having and some of the flakes that I have, even though it's not the dandruff, it's actual things. But those are some of the cosmetic things that I kind of use. So it's pretty much more of a consumer preference, case by case. Then you just do a lot of trial and error.
okay, so yeah. Someone asked, does mass production affect cosmetic quality, the quality of products?
No, it does not. Mass production, no, no, it does not. I will say, in general, if you are starting with like a little small home kitchen product, more often than not, we have to develop and tweak the formula we call reformulate to make sure that it can withstand the robust process of a mass product. Because now when you deal with mass scale, you deal with more, like I talked about the STEM, you deal more in the physics and the energy behind that. So you want to make sure that we're able to we have to make sure we get the same aesthetic as that homemade type product. But sometimes you end up having to sacrifice some of those attributes in order to make sure it's going to be shelf stable.
Yeah, that's the like catch sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Like you see people change their formulation.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, okay, on one hand, you happy they made it to the Target because it's easier, right? You just go in the store, but then you're like, okay, there are some slight changes
Well, it
because the
depends on what it is.
reformulation.
Do you mean like when a small company becomes acquired by another company?
Yeah, or they
Okay.
have to, they go from selling on their website or in
Yep.
their store to, a bigger place.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah. So that could be
so
a
I,
number of things. It could be a number. It could be one like sometimes you get acquired by different companies, and then you take more of a global landscape. So now, what's considered safe in the U.S. is not necessarily safe in the EU, and vice versa. So that can be
mhm,
one caveat. So some people think, oh, safe is safe, but it depends on whose definition of safe for you. So let's say I'm my own Nikisha Inc., and then I sell to a company who's a global company, and they want to sell in EU. I may use a preservative that's okay in the United States, but it's not going to be the same thing over in Europe. Let's say I developed my own sunscreen. I would say sunscreen. So sunscreen is considered an OTC, which means an over-the-counter actual drug for helping to stop some sunburns. But when I go over to EU, they have totally different active ingredients that they use for sun care. So that in that case, you may need to change your formulation. Also, people who tend to use more natural ingredients, heavy load of natural ingredients, sometimes do end up with sourcing issues because of the amount of ingredient you have. And maybe different sources may not have this exact same quality. So you may have to go back and do some formula adjustments.
okay. And we have a few minutes. I'm gonna ask you two questions,
Yes.
final questions.
Yes.
We share this HPCU alumna. Um, so here's the thing: your alma mater, Tennessee State, produced an international cosmetic scientist, right? And so
I'm like, who? I was one of the international one. I'm like, really?
that's you. That's
Wow.
you.
They just have
I
big
know
international.
we
I'm like, they ain't call me. Okay.
I know we as black women don't always, but you are international
Oh,
cosmetic
thank you.
scientist. And so like can you tell us like the impact that you think going to a HBCU had on your career?
Wow, wow, wow. That is a really deep question. Yeah. So I will say the impact of my university, what I really loved about Tennessee State is more of the nurturing aspect. We had such well developed relationships with our professors, and they really stretched us and taught us to think beyond what our greatest imagination would be. So at the time, Tennessee State was really well, and they still are. It was really hands on. I did quite a few internships when I was there. So I think I told you I initially started off with civil engineering, and then I ended up going into chemistry. And I think my very first love was the organic chemistry class. And then people just could not understand how is this girl doing so well in, in organic chemistry, and
I
everybody
know. I
else
struggled.
was like, what? Yeah, but I didn't get introduced into cosmetic chemistry at Tennessee State, but I would say the HBCU system, they really taught us the tenacity to seek to go beyond what's always based, or to think beyond what's always just in front of you. So many times, most of the thoughts are, okay, if I go major in chemistry, I want to be a doctor, or I want to be a pharmacist. So did anyone ever think about being an agricultural chemist? Ever think about being a food chemist? You ever think about material science? So what? Because every day you are impacted with some type of chemistry, and I think that is what Tennessee State did bring to you. It pretty much taught me, in any HBCU, taught me to extend beyond the wide, to extend beyond what's what you see right in front of you, find other ways and other avenues. And I'm sure at your school and at my school, we have pretty much nothing. We came from from nothing. We made those old textbooks. We made those little small labs work to create wonderful things from the small things that we even had.
Yeah, because I tell people all the time, like, you see all the upgrades. I'm sure your campus has upgrades. And I'm like,
Yes, yes, yes,
I'm a little jealous.
yes.
But the final thing is you gave us great things about how to consume our products, right? But
Yes.
that's the beauty of being a cosmetic chemist. You
Yeah.
actually get to create.
To
So
create.
what
Yeah.
are ideas, your words of wisdom that you want to give to people? Like, I like makeup, I like to make my soap. what are the things that they can do? Well, one, why they should be a creator instead of just a consumer, right?
Mm-hmm.
But also how do they start that path? Because not too many schools offer cosmetic chemistry, right? Like you either have to
Yeah.
do it in grad school or just
Well,
get a job working in the field.
it is now emerging. So there is
Okay.
one university, University of Toledo. Mark Ansler, I think it's his last name, but it's a really good program. And I want to say they have a Bachelor of Cosmetic Science.
Mm-hmm.
So then there are some graduate schools as well. So the University of Cincinnati comes to mind, and then Fairleigh Dickinson University. One of the best in industry organization would be the Society of Cosmetic Chemists. So they are basically our industry arm for all of us within the industry for cosmetic chemistry. And then I would say there is now and nowadays there is so much information on the website. So we didn't have things like Facebook, a lot of YouTube, Instagram, and all of that when we
Mm-hmm.
were growing up. So if it was not for the location that was around my house, I don't think I ever really thought about even how to how to even enter into this field. So I would say that and it's also a great need. There are not many women of color, men of color, this color period that really are involved with developing cosmetic and personal care products, especially for women of color and people who share our unique characteristics. And so that was the one thing that really inspired me. Really wanted to be involved and be aware and just really contribute to this area. And I'm dealing with my expertise in science and STEM.
No, thank you. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
all of my almost everything I put on my skin except my mascara is made by Black people. And so I think
Mm-hmm.
that there's, unique thing when we're in this industry.
Yeah.
We create stuff that is good and unique to
Mm-hmm.
our skin, our
Mm-hmm.
hair, that like other people just can't create. Not because they just don't have those skin issues, or
Right.
not even issues. There's just a difference in
Mm-hmm.
our skin and our hair, in
Mm-hmm.
cultures. And
Right.
so
It's
yeah, so
more
I'm
and even when I even the science behind that is really the physical properties.
mhm,
They say multicultural hair. Basically the level of melanin that you have, and the hair and your hair creates the structure of the cuticle in your hair, and then
mhm,
that affects how your products are absorbed, how they are applied.
mhm. Well, thank you so much. I know that everyone learned so much from
Yes,
you.
thank you. Thank you for having
This
me.
had a topic. Okay, I'm sorry, I missed a comment. I'm not that good at the chat, so let me go back and get this comment question before you logged on. Um, Someone just said, really wanted to thank you for sharing. They don't really think people realize how hard cold science that is involved in with hair, skin, cut, makeup, and really the connection, how makeup is STEM, and this connection to STEM, something that we use every day.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you so much. The videos are in the chat. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. If you have anyone that had not logged in live, this will be on our YouTube channel in the morning. And thank you so much, Nikisha, for making time. I just know that there's some little girl,
Mm-hmm.
especially little Black girl, seeing a scientist that looks like her in braids
Oh, yeah.
in her lab coat doing her
Yes,
chemistry.
yes. I'm dropping my email in the chat as well too.
Okay. So if you want to connect with Nikisha, she is
Hmm.
allowing you to reach out. Um, you can email her.
So look at this. It's the second email. I forgot the project in the last one. So it's Nikisha
Okay.
at beautyandscienceprojects.com.
Okay. I got that. Well, thank you so much. And for rest of you, just be sure to stay tuned for our next cafe next month. As a chemical engineer, I'm excited about next month because I think we're having our cafe close to National Engineers Week. And so we are looking for an engineer to talk to you about engineering. I'm going to try to see if I can find an engineering that we don't hardly talk about. Well, I'm sorry, that let me send this again because that was all mixed up. But yeah, so thank you for tuning in. Be sure if you follow us on social media to keep abreast of our activities that are going on. And if you missed any of our past cafes or virtual events, you can get them on our YouTube channel. But oh, somebody asked one more question. I don't
Yeah.
know if you have any brands, but maybe you can tell people what to look for. They want to know what brands are for sensitive skin. So if you have sensitive skin,
So
what products do you look
typically
for?
it'll say for sensitive skin, or it may say fragrance free.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now
Hmm.
things have gotten to the point where you can see it on the label, like this is
Yes.
for sensitive skin or it's
Yes.
fragrance free. So look for
Yes.
that labeling. So I
Yes.
guess the biggest thing is now how cosmetic science has and products have advanced. Pretty
Yes.
much if you look at
Exactly.
the label, you can see if it's something that's good, a good fit for your skin or hair.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well,
Hmm.
thank you so much. Thank you all for tuning in, and
Hmm.
I will see y'all at the next cafe.
Yes. Thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you so
you're
much.
welcome.